Hey there everyone, Mazrock here, and today I want to cover 9.1 Guardian Druid and what makes them such a strong force in the Mythic Plus meta. So we're going to be going over trinkets, talents, all of the fun stuff, and really break down what makes Guardian Druid really strong in case if you don't already know. But first, if you enjoy Twitch, watching people stream, guess what? I stream Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Come on by, check that out. Description box below. If you're looking for something a little bit more casual and you kind of learn how to tank and learn, from other tanks and kind of be in a positive environment, there is a Discord link in the description box below as well, with a growing community of positive-minded people aimed at helping people out. Because especially as a tank, when you're learning how to tank, you really are alone. Like, that's kind of what you're doing because you're not running with as many tanks, things like that. And it's very difficult to find, mentorship and things like that in a very difficult spec to play. Tanking is not easy. You have a lot more responsibility on your shoulders, and sometimes it can get out of hand, things like that. What do you need to know? So if you have any questions, come on by and ask in the Discord. I promise you'll get a nice friendly response and different viewpoints. I've learned from some people and some people have learned from me, and that's how we get better as a group, as a community. So check that out down below. Now, Guardian Bear. So with the Incarnation talent, every 3 minutes for 30 seconds, you can spam Thrash without a cooldown. You combine that with the legendary of Ursoc's Fury, which has a 15% chance to proc an additional Thrash, but all of the damage that Thrash deals becomes a 75% absorb shield. So 75% of that damage becomes an absorb shield. Not difficult to see how you can't die. I have honestly tried to kill bear on big pulls. Now, there's stupid pulls and then there's bear pulls. So there's a big difference between the two. I have tried to make those bear pulls on the edge of stupid, but still very reasonable, and very rarely have I died. Like, very rarely. You're just a moving brick wall, and it's wonderful. So that is the big thing that makes bear very strong. So for those 30 seconds of Incarnation, that's when you want to pull large percentages of the dungeon, large amounts, and get a large amount of your count, because outside of Incarnation you are not as strong. You're not the best tank out there. The Incarnation is really what's making bear that driving force. Convoke is very good. If you want to double down on Incarnation and the strength of that, Venthyr is a solid option as well, because Ravenous Frenzy pairs very well with Incarn at that 3 minute mark. So you go both, you just start spamming Thrash, and the longer that Ravenous Frenzy is going on, by the end of the 30 seconds of Incarnations, you are spamming so many Thrashes. It is absolutely unreal. It really is. But you're just doubling down on what you're already really good at. Instead, Convoke gives you a 2 minute cooldown that is very powerful, but allows you to do more outside of that Incarnation window, and gives you a little bit more leeway during the other 2.5 minutes. So that's the idea there behind Guardian Druid. They're very strong, they're very fun, but Incarn is just really what pushes it through the roof. So if you're going to make a legendary for Mythic Plus, it should absolutely be Ursoc's Fury Remembered, the Thrash Absorb Shield 1, Chef's Kiss. You're going to have a great time. Incredibly tanky spec with that. Now, if you're looking for trinkets, basic tank trinkets that I say any tank should go get if they can, that is, of course, the Blood Spattered Scale in the other side. Look it up. There's literally, I don't have to explain it. It's good. So, Shard of Anhilde. I did go into the other guides on why it is so strong, but we'll talk about it here again. So it is an absorb shield that absorbs a small amount off multiple hits, and by multiple it means every incoming hit for about 7 or 8 seconds. So you see the amount and you're like, but there's actually no cap on that. Once you reach the damage threshold for it to do the damage, it's going to do the damage, but it still absorbs all incoming hits for the full duration of the trinket on 1.5 minutes. So while this might not be good with the big tank buster scenarios, things like Zav's Brutal Combo where it's hit instead of, one big hit, the Shard of Anhilde is fantastic to use with that. On Sylvanas, the Heartseeker, you pop the Shard of Anhilde, it just deals with the mechanic. You barely take any damage. It's absolutely beautiful. So this is one that you should absolutely be getting from the 9. Super strong to get. Right now with tank trinkets, that's kind of really the meta. That's what you want. There are other ones that can do well with like the haste boost, the anima haste emitter, things like that lines up well with Incarn. But those should really be the ones that you want to really push yourself, because those are on 2 minutes and a minute and a half cooldowns, which really gives you powerful defensive cooldowns that do damage as well outside of Incarn, which is really what you want. You kind of want to promote, because Incarn's perfect. Like, you are 30 seconds of perfect bear inside of Incarnation. And what you need to do is you need to boost the other 2.5 minutes of your play. Those are two very, very strong trinkets to be able to do that, combined with Convoke the Spirits. Now, I did do Venthyr. If you go look back at my other guides, I was Venthyr. I did go back to Night Fae. Convoke is a lot of fun. It's really, really powerful, and it really helped me with the other 2.5 minutes of play. Now, let's go over to the talents for the Guardian Druid. Let's talk bear talents real quick. Brambles is kind of your set it and forget it. It's really good. Basically, I enjoy it. Although I have heard of some people using bristling fur. Bristle your fur, causing you to generate more rage based on your damage taken for 8 seconds. This can be better than Brambles used in the right scenarios, although Brambles is kind of your better set it and forget it. And your 25 row, Wild Charge. Man, having a charge, chef's kiss, especially coming from a protection main. Not having a charge drives me up the wall, so this kind of appeases that side for me. Restoration affinity is going to be your better option if you're struggling to survive, if you're pugging keys and you just need as much self-reliance as possible on bursting weeks, things like that. You can help throw out some rejuvenations after the pack is done. Might end up, saving a life here or there, throwing out some quick heals. Super awesome to have. Although some people have been doing balance affinity if you are Night Fae, because what you can do is you can hit Owl, convoke for big boss damage if you know you are safe. If there's no major incoming damage incoming, it can work really well, although that's at your discretion. Here is kind of also your choice. Heart of the Wild, if you're going with balance affinity, this is where this matches up very, very nicely. Aside from that, I just really like Mighty Bash. I like that stun. It's nice. Mass Entanglement does have its uses, although, again, I prefer Mighty Bash. We're going to get to the 40 row in a minute, because this is what we've been talking about this whole time. 45 row. Earth Warden will generally get you more value. Generally. I prefer Survival of the Fittest. Reduces the cooldowns of Bark Skin and Survival Instincts by 33%. I'm undergeared on this character, and I'm trying to push higher keys. I'm not always playing with the best healers. For example, we just had a Resto Druid that didn't ever cast Swift Mend or Life Bloom in a key that we ran, so that's going to happen from time to time. Not everybody plays super well to, pushing keys mentalities. This is what you get sometimes in pugs. Survival of the Fittest lets me control more or less how much damage I'm incoming, especially from heavy magic damage dungeons, Necrotic Wake, Sanguine Depths, things like that. I have more survival instincts in the run of a dungeon than not, and I love that. Having more Bark Skins, I love that. And to me, I get more value out of Survival of the Fittest than Earth Warden, because Earth Warden, what it does is when you deal direct damage with Thrash, you gain a charge of Earth Warden, reducing the damage from the next auto attack you take by 30%. Earth Warden may have up to 3 charges at once. This becomes kind of useless in Incarnation, because you basically always just have 3 stacks and nothing can really bother you anyway. Tyran bosses that hit really hard with auto attacks, and trust me, there's a lot of them, Earth Warden gets a lot of play here. Survival of the Fittest, to me, is my personal choice. Although if you look at any other guides, Earth Warden will mathematically come out ahead. This gives me more control, and as a tank, I like that. And to me, that's my better option. Rend and Tear is my just general go-to here. Each stack of Thrash reduces the target's damage to you by 2%, increasing damage to them by 2%. It can stack up to 3 times, so that's 6% increased damage, 6% increased damage reduction. Not hard to see why that's good. Lastly, 40, if you're running Mythic Plus, you're running Incarnation. Every 3 minutes, you gain basically a 30-second I'm God Bear, and you just can't die. It is very difficult to die in Incarnation, and I mean very difficult. Every time that I would legitimately kind of try to pull to the part of, you know, what's it going to take for the healer to actually have to start worrying about me, it just like doesn't ever happen. It just doesn't. And there's a reason why. And then there's the legendary that we talked about earlier. All of this encompassed makes Incarnation insanely powerful in Mythic Plus. So that right there is my Mythic Plus Guardian Druid guide. If you guys are enjoying tanking in Mythic Plus and you haven't, you know, maybe you're thinking about picking up another spec, maybe you're thinking about getting into tanking because DPS queues absolutely suck. I just started a mage and I forgot what it was like to get declined to +3 keys for like 20 straight minutes because you're a DPS and you don't matter. That's kind of what it is. You know, there's a million of them. But if you're a tanker healer, you're a little bit more needed. You don't get declined as often. So if you're thinking about maybe picking up a tank spec and you're not sure what one, and you'd like a little bit more information than what I've given you in this video, there's a Discord down below with a growing community of positive tanks and positive people in a positive atmosphere that are just having a good time. Check that out down below. Thank you very much for watching. Hello again. Here I am. Changed. Guess what I forgot to do? You might have already realized I forgot to talk about conduits. While editing this, I also came to the realization, hey, I forgot to talk about conduits. So let's do that very, very quickly. Some of the best potency conduits for Guardian Druid is, of course, the Covenant specifics, especially so with Night Fae and Venthyr. Venthyr is making your Incarnation even stronger. If you watch one of my previous Venthyr Guardian Druid videos, I talked about the cocaine bear in the 80s that ate like 300 pounds of cocaine and how you can feel like that by being that bear. That conduit just adds more onto that. I will post a link to that video down below if you're interested in playing Venthyr bear. It hasn't changed much, but it has opened up a little bit. Of course, the one that goes across all conduit specs, all covenants, sorry, is the unchecked aggression. You gain a big haste buff, 21%, during your Berserk, aka Incarnation. So this gives you just more fuel to just get more rages off. Very, very strong. There are some strong endurance conduits. Condensed Animosphere on all of my tanks, especially once you rank this up higher. Again, I haven't given Bear as much love as I wanted it to. There's just too many tanks, not enough time. But on all of my tanks, this one actually does do a fair bit of healing. Well-honed instincts, even after the nerf, is very, very strong. I do like layered main, and I actually noticed for 12%, it procs a lot more frequently than normal, right? Barkskin's cooldown is reduced. This is very, very good, especially if you're, you know, an avid Barkskin presser and you press it basically off cooldown. There's a lot of a really, really good option. I enjoy the regrowth and frenzied regeneration healing is increased on yourself because I do press frenzied regen a lot. A lot of the healers that I work with are like, I play with are all, hey, you know, you're basically a wall, and when you hit 75%, you're basically somehow getting back up again. This is a lot to do with it, but there's a lot of really good endurance picks for you here. And when it comes down to finesse, as you can see, I haven't really far confidence much here. I enjoy Stampeding Roar. I enjoy Born of the Wilds as well. Tireless Pursuit's not bad. It's nice, but it's really not going to get you much. This will get you more Mighty Bashes in the dungeon, and this will give you more Stampeding Roars, increasing your party's movement speed. So if you're running with things like Warlocks and stuff in your party, which are normally slow, this gives them a little bit more giddy up because you want to get that key done. Aside from that, Savage Combatant is not bad. It's actually a decent option, especially for single target. I just find myself almost never actually pressing Maul in Mythic Plus. Very, very rarely. I'll do it during like a boss fight, a tyrannical fight, things like that when I'm working with that. But especially if I'm dealing with multiple packs and things like that, very rarely am I pressing Maul. I'm usually trying to keep my Iron Fur up and, you know, doing things like that and trying to keep my rage for that sort of thing. But unchecked aggression is an absolute must, and your Covenant one is an absolute must, and those two are going to be very, very powerful all around. So those are conduits. Again, thank you very much for listening, and I'm sorry I forgot it in the original content of the video. Bye.